In today's lesson, I'm going to show you how you can take a simple blues scale and use it to solo over all of the chord changes in the tune Autumn Leaves. Let's get started. Alrighty, thank you so much for tuning in. I think you're going to really enjoy today's lesson. Before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. The bell is actually very important. That way you will be notified of new uploads that I upload. And as well, with this lesson, I've put together a real nice little package of all of the play-alongs that I'm using here in the video and a PDF. So be sure to look in the description, click that link, and download the play-alongs and PDF. So let's get into the lesson. I can remember when I was in college and just starting to get interested in jazz. And I was with a friend of mine and we were jamming over Autumn Leaves. And I was looking at the real book, which is what we had at that time, and I saw all of these chord changes and I thought, gosh, how am I gonna play on all these chord changes? Because I was just a blues and rock player at that point. I hadn't studied jazz officially when I was just getting into college. And it was very unnatural for me to try to play on every single chord change, but I sort of found a way in by just finding this sort of crack, how I kind of like a crack in the system. I didn't know what it was called at the time, but I could play blues over all of the chord changes. Now I want to show you how to do this, and I want to explain to you why it works, because now that I can look back at what I was doing, I understand it a little bit better. We have a set of chord changes called a 2-5-1. So in the key of G, it's a little 3-chord chord progression that looks like this: A minor 7, D7, G, or G major 7 or G major 6 or whatever. So that is a unit that we see a lot. And so as now that you know that, when you look at a jazz tune, you can sort of see these easier to digest, bigger chunks, which consist of 3 or maybe 4 chords. Now, this belongs to a key. That belongs to the key of G, which means you can play G over that whole thing. You don't have to relate to every single chord. Now, this is one type of soloing, and it's called horizontal thinking or horizontal soloing. You're over lots of chord changes, you're using one scale. Vertical thinking is more like relating to each change as it goes by, which you do have to get good at if you want to become a serious jazz player. But if you're just starting out, try what I'm telling you here. So what is a key? If we're in the key of G, what does it mean? Because people say, well, you know, it means like G, or it means A, you know, but let's get really specific. A key is a central tone around which the others revolve. So G is the central tone during this whole thing. And if you know your good old G pentatonic, the major pentatonic, now that's a G major pentatonic. Bear with me, I think I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it looks like E minor. That's going to come in a minute. This kind of sound of a major pentatonic, which can be played in a very bluesy way, is what I think of when I hear Sweet Home Alabama and when I hear certain songs by Led Zeppelin. And a very good example is the riff on Wonderful Tonight. So if we were in G, I'm just going to sing the riff. It's Ba ba do ba ba do do ba do do ba ba. So that's all G major pentatonic. And even in Wonderful Tonight, you see it fits over lots of chord changes. So when you have this 2-5-1, you can go bo 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 bo. So here I'm going to do a little playing example of how a G pentatonic, G major pentatonic, can fit over A minor 7, D7 to G major 7. That's a 2-5-1 in G. Let's take a listen. Okay, so if you're just getting started playing jazz, this will kill 3 birds with 1 stone. So now, even cooler is the following. If we look at an E minor pentatonic, you might go, wow, that's the same notes as the G major pentatonic. Yes, it's the relative minor, but what's the difference? What is the difference? The difference is the key. Remember the definition of a key. It's a central tone around which the others revolve. So when we're playing an E minor, E, the note, is the boss. Okay? So now, very often, especially in Autumn Leaves, we see this chord progression. And it's a 2-5-1, but in a minor key. So you have this funny looking F sharp minor 7 flat 5, which all by itself you don't really know what to do with it, but then it goes to a B7 of some sort. Okay, another way you could play that is F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to B7 to E minor. So same rule applies. You can play E minor pentatonic over all of that chord progression and it will sound fine. Let's take a listen to that. Alrighty, so you're almost ready to try this on the chord changes to Autumn Leaves. And like I said, there's a backing track available for download. I really recommend that you grab it. It's free. I'm going to play a solo for you now on Autumn Leaves. And every time that the 2-5-1 in the key of G comes up, I'm going to be thinking G major pentatonic. Every time that the 2-5-1 for E minor comes up, starting with that funny F sharp minor 7 flat 5 chord, I'm going to be thinking E minor blues. And the notes overlap, and the ideas will overlap because it's the same scale, but I'm just keeping track of what key I'm in. So let's take a listen. Here goes. I'm going to play you very limited to pentatonics solo on Autumn Leaves. All right. So something that I had not explained to you before was you got to be careful on the 2-5-1 with G if you're going to be doing this pentatonic, because that would fit more on a G minor chord. Some of the notes in there, and you might have some clashes that don't sound very tasteful, like if you go ba ba, I'm singing a B flat, but that's a B. Ba 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 ba. It's just, you have to use that judiciously. Okay, so I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson. Go ahead and download the backing tracks and the PDF, and please leave a comment below. I hope that this has shown you some possibilities that maybe you didn't see before, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. God bless.